Before we get started, I'd like to welcome Remco Bromlett, our chaplain for the City of Milton Police and Fire, to lead us in an invocation.
Let's pray together. Thank you, our Father in heaven, for the goodness that you lavish on us and for your grace that washes over us moment by moment, day by day, often when we don't even notice it. And we ask you for forgiveness tonight for the times that we do take that for granted and we do not notice it and sometimes even resist it. And we ask for your unseen presence in this meeting tonight. We pray that you give to our mayor and city council wisdom and integrity and vision and knowledge in governing the affairs of the city beyond human limitations. Bless the city staff that serve the residents with a fresh supply of grace and strength. And watch over this city and all that live in her. Keep everyone safe and well. These things we pray in your name. Amen.
Thank you very much. Okay, at this time, I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Milton City Council, Monday, March 4th, 2013, to order. If our clerk would please call the roll and make general announcements.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll be happy to call roll for the March 4th, 2013 regular meeting. I would like to remind those in attendance to please silence all cell phones at this time. Those attending the meeting who would like to provide public comment, either during the public hearing or during the call for public comment, you are required to complete a public comment card prior to speaking on an item. There is no public comment for consent agenda items or items under first presentation. Those called to speak will be taken in the order that the speaker cards are received by the city clerk staff prior to the beginning of tonight's meeting. All speakers will identify themselves by name, address, and organization if applicable. The City Council may allow public comment on either an agenda item or general public comment from a representative of such an organized group or association, provided that such an individual shall file a notarized affidavit that they have the authority to speak on behalf of said organization on a form provided by the city clerk prior to the agenda item being called. Demonstration of any sort within the chamber is prohibited, so please refrain from any applause, cheering, booing, outbursts, or dialogue with any person speaking. Please show the same respect to the person speaking that you will expect to receive yourself. Anyone in violation will be asked to leave. As I call roll, please confirm your attendance. Mayor Joe Lockwood.
Here.
Councilmember Karen Thurman.
Here.
Councilmember Matt Kuntz.
Here.
Councilmember Bill Lusk.
Here.
Councilmember Bert Hewitt.
Here.
Councilmember Joe Longoria.
Here.
Councilmember Lance Large.
Here.
Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, good evening, and we appreciate you being here tonight. We'll get started and have our city clerk call the first item.
Our first item this evening is approval of meeting agenda. This is agenda item number 13046.
Okay. Are there any other items to be considered by council or staff?
We don't have any tonight.
Okay, council. All right, then I'll open up for a motion in a second.
Mayor, I'll move to approve the agenda, meeting agenda as prepared by staff.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Lusk, second by Councilmember Hewitt. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That was unanimous. Next item is public comment. Do we have any public comment?
We do, sir.
Okay, I'm going to read the rules of public comment. Public comment is a time for citizens to share information with the mayor and city council and to provide input and opinions on any matter that is not scheduled for its own public hearing during today's meeting. There's no discussion on items on the consent agenda or first presentation from the public or from council. Each citizen who chooses to participate in public comment must complete a comment card and submit it to the city clerk. Please remember, this is not a time to engage the mayor or members of the city council in conversation. When your name is called, please come forward and speak into the microphone, stating your name and address for the record, and then you'll have 5 minutes for remarks. We allow public comment now.
Our first comment comes from Risa Hirschhorn.
My name is Risa Hirschhorn. I live at 1170 Nix Road. I've been living on Nix Road for the last 12 years, and the surface that they've put down over and over again hasn't been the right surface. There's over 100 potholes on that road right now, and every time there's a rain event, the same thing happens. I don't care how fresh it is after they've maintained it. My drainage ditches on either side of my driveway, where I have a pipe running under the driveway, the drainage ditches are filled to the top with sand. And that never happened when I moved there originally. The surface that's there right now has too much sand or something that's very fine in it, and there's no way to maintain that. I don't know what to do. I don't know. I've spoken to Roddy Motes over and over again. He says that I have to come to the council meetings. I don't like to speak publicly. I get very nervous. But I've got a real problem with the road. I mean, I was riding down there the other day, and somebody had driven off the road, and it's very slick when it rains now. I don't know if you have any plans of doing anything, but the surface, everybody says that they want to keep these roads because historically they've been like this, but this is not the road that I moved on, that I built a house on, when Fulton County was maintaining it. That was a different surface, and I don't know what the ingredients were, but maybe we ought to find out what they were, because when Blount did the changeover several years ago, that was a disaster. And somebody let the entire road, and I know that Brittle was put down was done with the same surface. It's dangerous. The washboarding is ridiculous. The potholes are ridiculous. They're more than 6 inches deep. There's over 100 of them. I don't know what to do. That's it.
All right, thank you. And again, as in the rules, we can't respond, but Carter and Chris, we can talk later and we can get in touch with you. So, all right, thank you.
We have one last item, comment from Dot Blair.
Hi, my name is Dot Blair. I live at 13965 Cochran Road, Milton, Georgia. As you are aware, the city is currently conducting a visioning study for the Highway 9 area. I attended the first community meeting held on February, as did many Milton residents who are concerned with the inclusion of a lot on Bethany Bend Road, which does not adjoin Highway 9. I was disappointed that only one member of council was present. Councilman Lusk was the only member of council to attend. I would like to ask the other members of council to show the same initiative. Please attend these meetings, listen and respond to the public's concerns, and formulate your own opinions based on your own personal observations, rather than depending on a staff report that merely provides an interpretation of the public's position. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
That's all, sir.
All right, let's move on to our consent agenda. If the city clerk would please sound the items.
First item is approval of the February 20th, 2013 regular city council meeting minutes, agenda item number 13047. Next, approval of the amendment to lease contract between the City of Milton and Larry and Susan Hopkins, agenda item number 13048. Our next item is approval of the acquisition of 665.06 square feet of temporary construction easement at 2655 Francis Road from Elaine M. Jones for a combined purchase price of $500, agenda item number 13-049. Approval of the acquisition of 5,500.29 square feet of right-of-way and 11,051.72 square feet of permanent construction and maintenance easement at 14600 Cogburn Road from Charles E. and Carolyn E. Day for a combined purchase price of $18,000. Agenda item number 13050. Next, approval of the acquisition of 163,654.40 square feet of right-of-way and 43,435.70 square feet of permanent construction and maintenance easement at northeast corner of intersection of Birmingham Highway and Providence Road from the estate of Dr. Alfred Reinhardt for a total combined purchase price of $440,000. Agenda item number 13051. Our sixth item is approval of the acquisition of 1,368.52 square feet of permanent construction and maintenance easement and 1,319.43 square feet of temporary construction easement at 120 Providence Oaks Point from Thomas J. and Kathleen G. Schrantz for a total combined purchase price of $4,400. Agenda item number 13052. Our final consent item this evening is approval of a professional services agreement between the City of Milton and On-Site Civil Group, LLC, for surveying and engineering services for sidewalk improvement projects on Webb Road and Cogburn Road. This is agenda item number 13053.
Okay. I have a motion and a second on the consent agenda.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as read.
Second.
I've got a motion by Councilmember Thurman, a second by Councilmember Kuntz. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Okay, we'll move on to reports and presentations. I'll present the next one. I've got a proclamation for Senior Services North Fulton, which is a private nonprofit 501c3 founded in 1991 to provide programs and services to residents of North Fulton County who are age 60 and above. The programs and services are provided to residents in the city of Milton, Roswell, Alpharetta, Johns Creek, Mountain Park, and Sandy Springs. Senior Services is the only agency in North Metro Atlanta dedicated to serving older adults. Senior Services is responsible for the planning, coordination, and delivery of Meals on Wheels, care management, in-home services, medical transportation, and operation of 3 neighborhood senior centers in Alpharetta, Roswell, and Sandy Springs. Senior Services North Fulton is also excited to be opening our new neighbor senior center in Milton this year. So I'm going to welcome Carrie Bellware, who's the Executive Director, and Dina Takata, I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, but of Senior Services North Fulton. And I will read this proclamation, and then you two will join me up here. Proclamation, March for Meals Awareness Month. Whereas the Meals on Wheels program provided by Senior Services North Fulton delivers nutritious meals to seniors who are unable to prepare meals for themselves. And whereas Senior Services North Fulton has been administering the Meals on Wheels program in the city of Milton for more than 6 years, and in the area that became Milton for more than 20 years, with a 100% volunteer force. And whereas in 2012, more than 400 volunteers donated their time, vehicles, gasoline, and energy to deliver more than 25,000 meals with a friendly smile. And whereas no senior has ever refused service because of an inability to pay. And whereas these efforts have resulted in the improvement of the lives of Milton seniors through continued personal independence, nutritionally balanced meals, and daily visits by caring volunteers. Now therefore, let it be known that we, the Mayor and the City Council of the City of Milton, Georgia, hereby proclaim the month of March 2013 as March for Meals Awareness Month, and call upon the citizens of Milton to join in supporting the Meals on Wheels program. And this is given under my hand and sealed of the City of Milton, Georgia, on the 4th day of March 2013. And I want to just add, everybody, it's probably obvious that this is providing meals for seniors and folks that can't get out, but having visited several people with meals in the program, one of the bigger things is just the fact that somebody's coming by every day. These people, they're more excited about just seeing somebody and smiling and talking than they are about getting the meal. Usually the meal, it's like, okay, they take that, put that in the refrigerator or whatever, and they want to visit with somebody. So that's a bright spot for many folks' lives, but it's also a good safety thing that you got somebody coming by once a day that just lets you know if they see something that's wrong. So if my council would mind coming down with me, and if you guys would.
We are very excited about partnering with the city. You're wonderful to work with so far. Can't wait to keep going, as she would say. She keeps us straight.
You know what?
Yeah.
Sit between two.
Crazy people. Yeah. Trust me, I know. Don't be quiet.
Okay, let's move on to the first presentation. If, Sue, you don't mind reading the items?
Mr. Mayor, I think before we move to that, you've got the doctor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So if the city clerk could please call the next item.
Our next item is Fulton County School Strategic Plan. We would like to welcome tonight Dr. Robert Avosa, Superintendent of Fulton County School System.
Thank you,
Well,
Chris.
first of all, I'd like to thank Mayor Lockwood and Council for giving us a few moments of your time. I also want to introduce your school board member for this area, Katie Reeves, who's been serving on the board for quite some time. Many of you, well, probably all of you know her. We
what's
also
her name?
have Dr. Vic Shandor, who is the area superintendent. Vic, will you just stand up for me? Dr. Shandor is the area superintendent here in the Northwest Learning Community. We think it's important that each of the 13 cities that are part of Fulton County Schools has a chance to look at and see what we're doing, the kinds of things that we're accomplishing, the areas of focus, and areas that we can continue to partner with one another, as I know we have here in the city of Milton. There are just a couple of things I want to talk with you about. First is, how's the district beginning to evolve, particularly with the onset of the charter system and how we plan on using that new level of accountability and flexibility to get the work done here in Fulton County. Just give you a quick overview of the strategic plan, some of the goals that we've set for ourselves, talk about and brag a little bit about the schools here in Milton County, and then wrap up with any questions or thoughts that you might like to share with me as well. As you know, Fulton County is an interesting school district in that the district is a little over 75 miles long. We have about 95,000 students in 100 schools. We have 13 cities within our school district. We are still a very fast-growing school district, where Cobb County and DeKalb and others are flat or losing students. Last year, we enrolled 1,300 new students. This coming year, our prediction, we'll be bringing to the board here shortly, is that we'll grow another 1,250. So we're fast approaching 100,000. We're a very diverse school district. The district is a majority-minority district with about 40% of our students of African-American, that are African-American, 35% or so Caucasian, a very large and fast-growing Asian population, particularly in the Johns Creek area. So as you might imagine, we're just a large, diverse school district. We've got a lot of great things going on. During my first year, I always joke and tell everybody I put about 60,000 miles in 12 months on my car, visiting all 100 of our schools. That's not the amazing part. The amazing part was I didn't have one car accident, no bumper, nothing. Going up and down 400, 285, 75, 85. I've become a real whiz at making my way around town. But while I was making those visits and visiting our schools, it became clear that our one-size-fits-all bureaucracy to managing our schools is just, it's not the right way to organize ourselves. And so what we decided to do, rather than a large bureaucracy, we began a process called decentralization. We broke the school district up into a few learning communities, 4. I'll talk with you about that in just one second. I want to talk with you about some other things that we've been able to accomplish. We became the state's largest charter system. We passed SPLOST, which is responsible for funding beautiful schools like the one right down the street here at Cambridge High School, which opened up as a great model school. That's our template now for our new high schools. We continue to use those funds to also invest in technology. We are behind in technology, but with the passage of SPLOST 4, we'll be investing nearly $200 million in our schools over the next 4.5 years to really ramp that up. We rolled out a 5-year strategic plan with 3 big goals. We put in a very strong performance management system, a new evaluation system for all 14,000 of our employees. And we began to focus on raising standards through Common Core. Now, the learning community. I talked a little bit about this big, large bureaucracy with 14,000 employees, 100,000 kids. How does a district like that make sort of this idea that we need to have big feel small? And the concept of that is we need more local support, more local control, and the learning community model where the area superintendent has his or her own team. They're right here in this area at Old Milton Center, and we have our staff members work right out of there, and they support about 25 schools each. And now that there's a straight alignment between whether it's maintenance, school, facilities, we know who's responsible for what, and we're able to have the principals weigh in on whether or not those folks are providing a good customer service. In terms of charter flexibility, a lot of times folks will ask me, well, what does that really mean? You became a charter system. Here's the elevator speech on this. If you know anything about a charter school, they basically are able to run as independent operators without all of the regulations and things that are typically in place for public schools. We call it in Georgia Title 20. It's about 750 pages of regulation on how you should run your school. Well, we asked the state to enter into a contract to waive all 750 of those pages. The Board of Education spent 2 years working with the community on whether or not that's the way we wanted to do it. And the answer overwhelmingly from the community was yes, we want more control over our local school. We want to be able to say, this is an area we'd like to focus on and invest in. And now we've been given the same opportunity that a charter school has, but at the system level. So things like compensation reform. We're beginning to really jump in on this big topic of how do I get an engineering graduate from Georgia Tech to come and teach at one of our schools when the pay that they could make in the private sector is double, right? So do we need to think differently about the way we compensate some of our teachers? And certainly we know that we have to if we want to remain competitive. Now, how do we know if we're moving in the right direction? I've given you this evening a copy of our strategic plan. There are 16 key initiatives that will be rolled out in that plan over the next 5 years, but the 3 big ideas are this. Fulton County's got to be able to hit 90% graduation rate. We looked across the nation, and there were 3 school districts that were really knocking it out of the park. Fairfax, Virginia, Montgomery, Maryland, and Hillsborough County School District, which is Tampa, Florida. All with between 87 and 90% of their kids graduating on time within 4 years. Now, we know all kids, although we want all of our kids to go to college, there are many areas within our school district that our kids need to go to work first, that the capacity and the capability of a family to move right into a college environment isn't there. So we also focus on this idea that we need to make sure that our kids are career ready. Now, for the schools, particularly schools here in Milton High School and Cambridge, we know that we've had to create stretch goals for them because both of those schools are well over 90% graduation right now. And their SAT scores, we had to create separate stretch goals for them because as individual schools, they're outperforming. In fact, 6 of the top 10 schools in the entire state of Georgia are right here in North Fulton. And as soon as the SAT scores come out in Cambridge in the next year or 2, I think Cambridge will be no different. So what people told us was they wanted more freedom in terms of the instructional delivery model. They wanted our employees to be able to have an opportunity to develop their own skills. We needed to increase technology. We needed to provide parents and community members more opportunity to lead, and thus this idea of the governance council, where we'll have a governance council who will really be making some meaningful decisions at the school. And also that we have to think differently about the resources we provide our school. Right now, we sort of give everybody essentially the same medicine, regardless of the kinds of issues or concerns that they face. So what we're moving towards is a decentralized model where local school can say, you know what, I don't want 3 school resource officers or 2. I'd rather have 1, and I'd rather trade 1 officer in for 2 security associates, for example. Or I'd rather focus on advanced placement classes rather than remedial or add another foreign language. That's the kind of flexibility we want our schools to be able to have so they can meet the individual needs of the communities that they serve. So we decided that there were going to be 5 key areas that we'd focus on, and you'll see it in your strategic plan. I won't bore you with the details. Essentially, advancing instruction, investing and enhancing our people, because 80% of our budget are people, integrating technology, ensuring that our schools are effective by having strong parental engagement and involvement, and managing our resources. I just want to highlight one of them, and for me, it's clearly the one lever that makes the most difference. Each month, our payroll is $60 million. So that means that the vast majority of the school system's resources go to people. If you don't have a strong accountability system, meaning I've notified a teacher about his or her low performance, I've got to be able to do something about that. In the past, I think a lot of the sort of rules and regulations you see in Title 20 are what you would normally see in a union state, where the teachers negotiate a contract. In the state of Georgia, it's no different. They just negotiated that contract, if you will, with the state. And so if you look at that Title 20 I was talking to you about, it tells us how to pay teachers, how many hours they should work, how do you get rid of a low-performing teacher. And what we're saying is we need the best teacher in front of every kid, and we've got to be able to hold them accountable and remove them when they don't perform. And the same thing with principals. So we've got 2 things that we focus on. First of all, we've got to identify the issues that exist. B, you've got to be able to provide the growth and opportunity for individuals to improve. And then the most important one is have the courage to remove them. We've removed more low-performing assistant principals and principals over the last 18 months than we have probably in the last few years. Why? Because we know as a board, as a governance team, that if you don't have a great principal and leader in the building, then you're not going to be able to hold your teachers accountable. Now, that's the part around accountability. Now, what about the other side, which in our mind is this idea of support and culture where people feel proud of the brand name? Now, if any of you have been watching the news recently, you know there's plenty of school districts around here that are focusing on the wrong things. They're not talking about student achievement. They're not talking about making sure that they live within their means. And you see school districts like DeKalb, Clayton, and others continuing to face issues year after year. I'm going to brag on my board for just a minute. Over the last 4 or 5 years, while we knew that there were declining revenues that were forecasted, we lived within our means. We made the tough decisions and the tough cuts. And our teachers don't have furlough days anymore. For 2 years in a row, we've been able to give our employees a one-time compensation as a bit of a bonus or an incentive for doing good work with us. Unlike Cobb County, who still faces an $80 million deficit, still has furlough days. Gwinnett County, which laid off 600 teachers. Fulton County is not in that position, and that's because we lived within our means and we held ourselves accountable to that as we moved on. Let me tell you a little bit about the schools here in Milton, the city of Milton. I've got a map here that shows where they are. You know that there's our demographers today came to executive staff to talk about the hot spots and growth. And we know that over time, as we continue to see new houses close in this area, we're watching that very carefully and making sure that we've got capacity. Cambridge High School opened this year with a little over 1,000 students, and we know it won't be long, and that school will be packed. And we've got to always be 3 to 5 years ahead of that and making sure that we've got plenty of great schools for our kids to attend. And this is the one I think you should be most proud of. This slide shows you, again, all the high schools in Fulton County. You do see some variation there. The black line denotes the state of Georgia's average SAT, which ironically, when you think, and I don't have the national one on here, this is just the state of Georgia. The state of Georgia's SAT score on average is actually pretty good because the state of Georgia, on average, does not test a lot of their kids. Not a lot of the kids in the state actually take the SAT. In Fulton County, on the other hand, we actually, in many ways, some would argue, test too many kids because ours testing percentage is well over the national average, which is close to 70. Ours is almost 70%. The national average is a little less than 50. Even though we're testing significantly more students, you'll see that the red line is the Fulton County average, and you'll see Milton High School is above that, and in fact, in the top 10 in the state of Georgia. So lots to be proud of there. That doesn't happen just because we have great teachers and principals. It happens also because we've got a great community and parents who expect a lot of their schools, and they stay engaged to make sure that their kids are successful. They hold us accountable for that, and we certainly appreciate that. So with that said, I just wanted to thank you again for giving myself, Ms. Reeves, our school board member, Dr. Shandor, and others an opportunity to tell you a little bit about what we're working on, and we'll open it up if you have any questions or thoughts or comments.
You know, first I'd just like to Katie, Beck, Dr. Vosa, thank you so much for coming to talk to us, but also just over and over again, every time someone mentions that they really like where they live, they like our area, the topic of schools always comes up, and that's always a big draw. So part of the reason that we feel Milton is great is thanks to you guys, so, and all the hard work you've done. So we appreciate that, and we recognize that. Also have to tell you, part of the tough zoning decisions and all that we make are because you guys are so great and so many people want to live here. So anyways, but thank you very much, and I'll open it up for comments or questions. Bill?
Dr. Vosa, are there any applications for charter schools up here in North Fulton?
So we've just received probably 6 or 7 that staff is walking through. I can't be certain where the location of those particular schools are. Last one that the board approved was in a small area in Palmetto called Serenbe. That was the latest one that we had, where it was a unique agricultural charter school that was built on an organic farm, and that's really where they're trying to teach their kids in the field. It's a pretty interesting concept, and one that might actually get some traction. We're not sure, so we'll watch that. But we have 6 applications that have just come in, and staff will begin to look at. So I don't really know that right now, Mr. Lester.
Okay. Anybody care?
Now, I just want to tell you thank you, because any real estate agent would tell you the number one factor in the house and land value is the school system that it's located next to. So by keeping a wonderful school system, you're helping all of us in Milton.
Lance?
I'd like to kind of add to that. There's probably any business development or economic development person will say that one of the key factors of attracting good industries to an area and is schools. Again, having a good place for people to come, live, and have their children educated in the public school system. So I have to commend you.
Well, I appreciate it, and as a member of this city, that's one of the reasons my wife chose where we live. I wish I could tell you I had more say in that decision, but Mrs. Avosa made that decision based on just that, which is where can we find a great church, a great community to raise our kids with sports and nice restaurants and safe. So as a resident, I just want to thank you for what you do, and we appreciate the support.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Okay, now, if we could move on to our first presentation item.
The first item is consideration of U12.
You know what? Can I stop for 1 second? Would you guys mind if we got a picture with our school representatives and our council? Be a good little photo op.
Nice to see you. Thank you. Still need very much.
Okay, if the city clerk again, I'm sorry, would read the first presentation item.
Our first item is consideration of U1201 VC 1207, 14325 Hopewell Road by Dean Ryopel for a use permit for exotic animals to operate a primate and exotic animal preserve on approximately 20.74 acres, a two-part concurrent variance. First, not to plant to buffer standards for a width of 75 feet along the east property, Section 64-11413B. Second, to allow parking between the building and the right-of-way, Section 64-11456C. This is agenda item number 13054. Next, consideration of RZ 1217, U1202, VC 1208, northeast corner of Bethany Bend and Cogburn Road by Arrowhead Real Estate Partners to rezone from AG1 agricultural to TR townhouse residential and request a use permit, Section 64-1825, to develop a 95-unit assisted living facility and 19 single-family detached residences on approximately 9.09 acres, a four-part concurrent variance. First, to increase the height to 40 feet from average grade to bottom of the roof eave and 2 stories to 3 stories, Section 64-1095M. Next, to reduce front periphery setback from 40 feet to 20 feet along Bethany Bend adjacent to the single-family lots, Section 64669H1. The third concurrent variance is to reduce the minimum side yard setback for single-family lots from 7 feet to 5 feet, Section 64669I2A. And fourth, to reduce the minimum rear setback for the single-family lots from 25 feet to 20 feet, Section 64669I3. This is agenda item number 13055. Our third item is consideration of RZ 1301, VC 1301, northeast corner of Bethany Bend and Cogburn Road by Arrowhead Real Estate Partners to rezone from AG1 agricultural to OI office institutional to develop a 95-unit, 2 stories assisted living facility on approximately 4.733 acres. A concurrent variance is also requested to delete the 75-foot buffer and 10-foot improvement setback along the east property line, Section 64-1091B. Agenda item number 13056. Next is consideration of RZ 1218 to amend Chapter 64, Article 6, Division 2, AG1, Agricultural District, as it pertains to fencing. Agenda item number 13057. Next, consideration of RZ 1219 to amend Chapter 64, Article 2, Division 8, as it pertains to fencing and walls. Agenda item number 13058. Consideration of RZ 1302 to amend Chapter 64, Zoning Ordinance, Article 1 in general, Section 64.1, Definitions. Agenda item number 13059. Next, consideration of RZ 1303 to delete Article 7, Division 5, Deerfield Plan of the Highway 9 Overlay District, and concurrently adopt a new Article 20, Deerfield Highway 9 Form-Based Code. Agenda item number 13060. Next, consideration of RZ 1304 to amend Article 7, Division 5, State Route 9 Overlay District, Section 64-1069A, Regulations Applicability. Agenda item number 13061. Next, consideration of RZ 1305 to adopt a new use permit within Article 9, Division 5, Miscellaneous Uses, Section 64-1839, Apartments. Agenda item number 13062. Next, consideration of RZ 1306 to adopt the corrected City of Milton zoning map as indicated on the Geographical Information System, GIS, including all zoning actions prior to January 1, 2013, as shown on current zoning map dated January 2013. This is agenda item number 13063. And our final item this evening is a consideration of RZ 1307 to amend Article 19, Crabapple Form-Based Code, Article 5, Standards and Tables, Table 9, Specific Function and Use. This is agenda item number 13064.
Okay, do I have a motion and a second on the first presentation items?
Mr. Mayor, I'll move to approve the reading of the first presentations.
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Luss, second by Councilmember Thurman. to support first presentation items. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Okay, we'll move on to our new business. City Clerk, please.
The first item is consideration of a resolution authorizing its attorney to exercise the City of Milton, Georgia's powers of eminent domain in the acquisition of certain interests in property, parcel number 3, Hopewell Road, Cogburn Road, at Francis Road, Hopewell Road, situated in the City of Milton, Georgia, and in Fulton County, Georgia, for public road and/or other public transportation purposes. This is agenda item number 13065. Mr. Carter Lucas.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. These first few items tonight are related to the Hopewell Francis Cogburn intersection improvement project that is proposed at that location. And before I get into them, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the process that we go through with these. Predominantly what we'll be looking at in any of our intersection improvements when we have to use the power of eminent domain or condemnation, we have two situations that we'll generally run into. The first situation would be one where you negotiate in good faith with the property owner and you just can't come to an agreed upon price. And in that case, the condemnation goes through as a potential condemnation. The other one that we deal with is where we just have title issues. You have an agreed upon price with the property owner, but we have issues with title that just can't be resolved in a reasonable amount of time. And that condemnation we sometimes refer to as a friendly condemnation. So we'll be hearing a couple of those tonight. This particular item, parcel 3 and 3A, is a parcel located on the southwest corner of the intersection of Hopewell Francis Cogburn. It's the undeveloped parcel with the utility bank there on the southwest corner. This is a parcel that we've come to an agreement with purchase agreement with the property owner, but because of some title issues involved in this one, the condemnation is necessary to resolve those issues and proceed in a timely manner. So in this particular case, the condemnation would be what we might refer to as a friendly condemnation with an agreed upon price. That parcel located at 2540 Hopewell Road involves the acquisition of 486 square feet of right-of-way and 2,244 square feet of temporary and permanent easements. Total appraised value for those was $1,100. And if there are any questions on this particular one, I'll be glad to answer them.
Okay, are there any questions for Lucas? Okay. Now I'll open up for a motion.
And Mr. Mayor, just in respect to the motion, there is a resolution in your agenda packet, so just if there's a motion to proceed, just a motion to adopt the resolution in the packet would be fine.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda item 13065, including the resolution in our packet.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilmember Hewitt, second by Councilmember Longoria. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Okay, our city clerk, please say on the next item under new business.
Next item is consideration of a resolution authorizing its attorney to exercise the City of Milton, Georgia's powers of eminent domain in the acquisition of certain interests in property, parcel number 6, 2643 Francis Road, situated in the City of Milton, Georgia, and in Fulton County, Georgia, for public road and/or other public transportation purposes. This is agenda item number 13066. Mr. Carter Lucas.
Thank you. Same project. This parcel is located on the northeast corner of the intersection, 2643 Francis Road. We're looking to acquire 1,104 square feet of right-of-way and 1,429 square feet of easements. Again, this is a parcel that we have an agreed purchase price in the amount of $4,200, but title issues on this particular parcel require us to file condemnation to try and resolve those. So again, a friendly condemnation.
Okay. If there's any questions, if not, I'll open up for a motion on this one.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve agenda item number 13-066, consideration of a resolution authorizing its attorney to exercise the City of Milton, Georgia's powers of eminent domain in the acquisition of certain interest in property, parcel number 6, 2643 Francis Road.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilmember Thurman, a second by Councilmember Kuntz. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. City Clerk will please call the next item.
Next item is consideration of a resolution authorizing its attorney to exercise the City of Milton, Georgia's powers of eminent domain and the acquisition of certain interests in property. Parcel number 4, 14750 Hopewell Road, situated in the City of Milton, Georgia and in Fulton County, Georgia, for public road and/or other public transportation purposes. Agenda item number 13067. Mr. Carter Lucas.
Thank you. Same project again. This parcel is located on the northwest corner of the intersection, 14750 Hopewell Road. The acquisition on this parcel is 12,066 square feet of right-of-way and 5,184 square feet of easements. This is a different type of condemnation. This is one where we believe that we've negotiated in good faith with the property owner and have not been able to come to a resolution on that. I will say, however, that we did receive a counteroffer late this afternoon, and I believe that we may be able to come to an agreement. So I would ask you to vote on this resolution tonight. However, I believe that we will be able to resolve this without formally having to file this condemnation.
Okay, any questions? If not, I'll open this one up for questions.
Yeah, question, Ken.
Sir.
So if we vote on this, it's not binding. In other words, we don't have to take the action. It's a secondary plan based on Carter's ability to negotiate with the property owner.
That's right. If you vote to go ahead and authorize and approve the resolution, my office will coordinate with Carter. We're prepared to and can go ahead and file the petition for condemnation, but we won't until we hear from Carter.
Okay, all right.
Okay, and I'd just like to, make a statement before bring this one to a vote, as well as the other ones, but specifically this one. Our public hears condemnation and eminent domain and whatnot, and you get ugly thoughts in your head about that and your local government. But I would say our staff has been very good and working with these property owners and trying to come up with fair market value. And using registered appraisers and whatnot. So from one side, our citizens should appreciate the fact that we don't want to waste any of their tax dollars. But on the flip side, we're certainly trying to be very fair and make sure that we do pay a fair amount to citizens who, we have to purchase right away from. So I just kind of wanted to make sure everybody knows that for the record. So. And if not, I'll open up for a motion in a second.
Mayor, I'll move to adopt a resolution authorizing its attorney to exercise the City of Milton, Georgia's powers of eminent domain in the acquisition of certain interests in property, parcel number 4-4, 14750 Hopewell Road. Agenda item number 13-067.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion by Councilmember Luss, second by Councilmember Large. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay, our city clerk will please call the next item.
Our final item is consideration of a professional services agreement between the City of Milton and Wiley & Wilson, Inc. for renovations to the Hopewell House. Agenda item number 13068. Mr. Carter Lucas.
Thank you again. Different project. Same road, different project. Mayor and Council, this is an agreement that we're asking you to consider for architectural services for the design of the renovations to the Hopewell House. This is an agreement that we came to following a qualifications process in which we reviewed qualifications from 10 firms that were submitted based on our RFQ. Wiley Wilson was selected based on their past experience with historic structures and their ability to work through this process and take into consideration the historic nature of this process as well, property as well as the use that we were looking for this particular one. The agreement is a not to exceed agreement in the amount of $115,500. It's broken down into several different components. Our pre-design component, the $36,300, would include stakeholder meetings, system evaluations, project coordination. We would then move on to architectural and civil drawings for the construction documents. That component is in the amount of $37,700. And Finally, construction administration in the amount of $40,000. We've got a line item in there also for $1,500 for general reimbursables. That would bring the total to the $115,500. Just to give you some background, our concept plan for pre-design and construction documents had an estimated amount of about $74,000, which is where we ended up in the final design documents. And the $40,000 for construction administration, we had a line item in for project management and contractor fees in the amount of $80,000, which would come out of that. So at this point, we are tracking currently on budget with the concept plan that we had done previously. So tonight, we're asking you for consideration of approval of this contract to move forward with the architectural services and the design of the renovations for the Hopewell House.
Okay, I'll open up any questions for Mr. Lucas. Bill?
Carter.
Yes, sir.
Does this include site design, site improvements?
Yes, sir. It would include the civil portion of it.
Okay. That's for the entire site?
For the entire site, yes, sir. The only component that we are considering is moving the turn lanes and improvements on Hopewell Road into the intersection improvement projects, which is currently going into design now, just to keep that consistent with that project.
Good.
Okay, now, I just want to clarify, and with the addition of the construction administration, but you're basically taking that out of the other budget of fees and contract administration.
Yes, sir.
So we're not, the net effect is we're not going over budget.
That's right. I think we're still tracking along with the original budget we had in the concept plan. Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody else? Lance?
No, Karen.
Go ahead. I'll
No.
let Karen next.
I was just pointing that way.
Well, I want to speak first. Go ahead, Lance. And then I saw you first, and then we'll get Karen. You can be next.
No, I was just calling your attention to Karen.
Oh.
That's all.
All right, Karen?
Remember what you're doing?
Yeah, I do remember it. I know you said that we had 10 people submit proposals, and based on the fact that other cities have shown up in the news because they have chosen one that's not necessarily the lowest, which I don't think we need to go with the lowest bidder on something like this. We need to go to the one that can give us the best design based on what we want at the best price. Was there much difference in price between the 10?
Actually, this was a totally qualifications-based selection, so price was not included in the submittal. As a professional service, we based strictly on qualifications and then negotiated price with the number one firm.
Okay. Anything else? Anyone else? Lance?
Don't say it.
Yeah, I'm just, I just got some concerns on this. Obviously, I wish the city didn't own it from that standpoint. If we are going to do it, it's got to be done well. At some point, even if it is built, I hope that we put a horse statue out there in the middle of it or something like that. But at the same time, I wish the city didn't own it, so I'm going to probably decline on that. But I wish you guys luck.
Joe, I will say something. I thought you expected me to say something. I just want to point out, well, first, I know of Wiley Wilson. They're a very reputable firm, and they do hail from the great state of Virginia, where I did a lot of practice. But they are a fine and reputable firm. And I commend the staff. I'm all for qualification-based professional service selections in negotiation. Based on that, I think we get a better product doing it that way.
Thank you, I do too.
Another thing kind of timely is we had the presentation for senior services. Obviously, we'll be working together with that, coincide with this. So hopefully we've got a good use for the project. Okay, anybody else, Lance?
Nope,
Okay.
I'm done.
All right, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve agenda item 13068.
Second.
Okay.
I'll give it to Lance. Since he's
Motion.
from, Virginia.
Have a motion for approval from Councilmember Hewitt with a second from Councilmember Large. Any comments? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. One dissent.
Just the one.
Okay, so that's 6-4 and 1 opposed.
Mayor, I apologize. I've got to leave, so I apologize.
You know what? We're about done. So, thank you, sir. I'm just going to open up now for any reports. I would normally go to council first, but Chris looks like he's
Oh,
ready.
no,
so
go
let-
ahead. I
No,
just,
no.
I haven't been able to see you all night, so I figured I'm going to go through a
Is
list. I
there
want to
anything,
be able to see who I'm talking to.
Anything the council wants to report on? Okay.
All righty.
We'll move to staff.
A couple of things tonight. Just want to bring your attention to, if you've been following along with the State General Assembly, I want to bring your attention to the two Milton bills that are introduced. One was introduced last week and passed out of the House into the Senate. That's House Bill 452. That is the bill that deals with Milton's reapportionment or the redistricting to get Milton from 6 districts to 3. Introduced today was House Bill 527, and that is the bill that modifies or potentially modifies 4 sections in our charter. So those two together, if they're both successful, will in effect do what we sent the resolution down there asking them to do with the last couple meetings. So both of the bills are in on time. They're both tracking as local legislation. They will meet the criteria to cross over before the end of the week. And those are the two numbers. If you happen to follow along and watch on the web, those are the two numbers, 452 and 527, that are Milton specific. Number two, I want to just let you know, I know you've seen email upon email, which is a good thing because it's interaction with our community, with our decision makers on the application that AT&T has submitted for a cell tower at Star Soccer. We are in the review process with that. At some point, the council will be asked to make a decision, or not. It depends on if it makes it all the way to that part of the process. I can let you know that the city attorney and I are meeting with AT&T's attorneys tomorrow to talk about the balloon test that failed on the weekend, and I classified as a failure. If anybody asks you are able to say that it didn't fly for the amount of time that it needed to fly, which is a minimum of 4 hours. So we will have to redo that part of the process. So go ahead and update you on that tonight and confirm that for you. To the mayor's point, yes, we are working with Senior Services North Fulton on starting to figure out a way to program some senior services prior to the completion of the Hopewell House being built and opened. I believe we've located a spot to do that. I don't want to necessarily release that tonight. I want it to be more of a sure thing when we do, but I believe we found a location that we can almost start delivering program and services now so that we can start to draw down against that money that Fulton County has committed to the project so that we have a better chance of receiving it next year. So that's progress that's happening and moving forward. I also want to clear up and just put into the record that we're going to see a very interesting newspaper article show up in people's driveways on Wednesday. If you pick up a copy of the Herald, you will see that it said on a couple of different use permit things that you all took action and voted tonight. Quite clearly you didn't. You acted to adopt the first presentation, which is simply a procedural thing where items are read into the record and they become part of the public process as we move towards the potential of changing an ordinance. So unfortunately, what you did tonight is not what's going to be reflected in the paper that shows up in people's driveway, and I fear that their initial reaction might be in getting the paper on the 6th that the council took action tonight and did something on the 4th that you didn't do. And I just want you to be aware of that. If your phone starts to ring or you start to get emails, I've worked with Jonathan, the reporter, this afternoon. They've done some stuff with Facebook and Twitter and changed the web-based article and done what they can do to try to correct what has occurred thus far, at least put some truth to it. So if you need to forward anybody, if you get calls on that and you need to forward anybody back to confirm what you're telling them, they can do that by going to northfulton.com and taking a look. If you have any questions on any of those staff reports, I'm happy to answer. Yes, sir.
Regarding the balloon test for
Yes.
the cell tower application, I mean, obviously there's a process in place to cover the city's review before it gets to the council. Take a look at it, but it's not our business to run a balloon test. That's the applicant's business, right? So you're just telling us that what the applicant's doing in order to make up for the balloon mishap, let's call it, that happened over the weekend. Okay,
Right. No,
I just wanted to be sure, because that's what I've been telling everybody, is that we're not involved in running balloon tests. We just review the results and part of our code states that they will have the results of that test available prior to the public presentation. So I just want to make sure we're following those guidelines.
That's right. And what it's really designed for is to stick an object up at the right height, so then they can put photo simulation on a picture. And that's how they'll end up giving you some idea as to what it looks like actually built in the community, as opposed to just a red blob in the sky. So, but you got to have the red blob before you can have the photo simulation.
Right.
Okay.
Get that, Bob? Got that blob? How do you spell that?
And hopefully, on the article you mentioned, I did read it, and it does say, because it's anticipating after the fact, it does say go to the web to get an update. So hopefully, if they've got the correct information on the web, it'll alleviate most folks' concerns, and if not, we can be prepared to respond.
Information travels so fast, it's hard. Once it's out there, it's hard to get out in front of it.
Yep.
Right or wrong.
Okay.
Be happy to answer any questions if you have any. Otherwise, that's kind of a snapshot, and pack a sleeping bag 2 weeks from tonight.
All right. Well, that's nothing else. That concludes our meeting, and I'll open up for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion for us to adjourn.
So, you can make a second.
I'll second.
All right. Motion by Councilmember Tisch, a second by Councilmember Lawrence. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous.
Okay.